Hello.
Hi.
Happy Sunday. We just realized we were not on screen.
Definitely talking to nobody.
They're like, well, we saw our nice logo though. We're such dorks. Wait, let's start over. Ready?
Okay, I think we're there now.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Welcome to Wolf Mountain. I just had the best intro ever. We missed it.
No, but now it's going to be
It was
even
like
better.
the most articulate
Even
one ever.
better. That was just the dress rehearsal.
Oh my goodness. Welcome to Wolf Mountain, your alternative spiritual community where we talk about
the Enneagram
and spiritual intelligence and God and whatever else the heck we want.
That's right.
Heck's a big subject.
Huge.
Yes, you'll never be able to stop talking about it. That was lame.
So much heck.
So much heck. So for those of you who are new, from 7 to 7:30, our certified coach, Melanie, Enneagram coach, sorry. She's not just a coach, an Enneagram
coach. Don't ask me to coach a sport, for example.
God forbid. Melanie will teach us about the Enneagram, help us all get along and love one another better. And then from 7:30 to 8, we do a little church. And I just discuss whatever I feel like Spirit is put on my heart, or we do some spiritual intelligence training. I really have a heart to help spiritually gifted people and spiritually sensitive people, I call them SSPs, be able to function better. So we talk about a lot of that stuff as well. But tonight we are having a special Enneagram session that's going to run a little longer because last week we had technical difficulties and we didn't feel like the sixes.
The sixes got robbed.
They got robbed. Dang it, technology.
Sorry, sixes.
We figured it out though. That's why you didn't hear our intro at the beginning, our Brad little intro, because Facebook decided illegal. We were pirates all of a sudden and didn't like our background music, so they blocked our video. Such is the life of a pirate. Arr. Anyway, good to see everybody. We encourage interaction, so we have commenting. I have discovered that if you allow Facebook to let StreamYard have access or comment on your behalf, then we can see your comments on StreamYard. Otherwise, we have to pull them off Facebook. Either way, we can see them. Please interact with us. Yeah. And we like it.
Yeah. So, and if someone could do a comment, then I could see if they're working.
Yes, comment away. Let us know you're out there. Because last week we got halfway through this and realized
issues.
No one could see us. It was awful. Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah. So. Everything humming? I see 6 people out there, so hey, 6 people.
Hi, 6. 6 people for sixes.
Yes, so we always do favorite thing ever of the week in the vein of being thankful. So what was your favorite thing ever of the week? Well,
it was Christmas this week. I don't know if anyone knew that. But we had,
That's
for the first time
Where was that?
in 20 plus years, we got to see Sid's parents for Christmas Eve. They normally go to Arizona every winter, and this year they did not go. So we got to see them, which was lovely, and then my family on Christmas Day, which was also lovely. Bittersweet this year without my dad, but I was glad to get to be with the rest of the family. It
was nice. It's not my favorite thing every week, but I did learn that my dad, my grandpa, who's an immigrant from Switzerland, actually lived in a stump. A tree so large that he made it into a house and lived in a stump for a while.
That was in Switzerland?
No, that was here, I believe. Actually, it might have been in Switzerland. I have no idea. But either way,
that's a very strange
my grandfather lived in a stump for a very short time. So that is weird and kind of awesome. He was very crafty.
Grandpa.
I have hobbits in my family.
But he was not a small person.
He wasn't.
No.
Anyway, my favorite thing ever of the week is I got a lightsaber for Christmas, which I wasn't expecting. Yes, I am a geek.
Good wife.
Good wife, yeah. Well, I've talked about it last time. I'm learning to spin staffs and swords and things as part of my ADD management. Physical things I need to do. It's been really nice, but they make these rad, replica lightsabers that make all the noises when you wish them around. But
what does it sound like?
A lightsaber. You gotta make the noise. Every guy can make that noise.
You can't do it,
and
right?
some women. Anyway, my wife got me one for Christmas. Yeah.
But
it promptly stopped working a day after using it.
Got one day.
Yeah, I don't want electronics pooched out, so we sent it back. But it was cool while it lasted.
And it will be cool again.
Yeah, but I didn't want to go buy a nice one because I didn't want to throw it across the room. I may have thrown this one across the room a few times.
I hope that's covered under the warranty, which it should be.
Probably not, but either way, it's going back. That's not why it stopped working. That could be. Yes, I'm a geek. Anyway.
Cute though.
Yeah, so I'm not seeing any comments. Hopefully you guys can hear us and see us. Comment away if you can, and maybe they'll pop up. All right, so we are going to do sixes today, right?
We're going to do sixes again since we missed or we had trouble last week. And we're also going to do sevens. We're going to do a twofer.
Twofer today.
A 6-7.
Yeah. And our dog.
And there's Roxy.
Making Wookiee noises in the background.
Yeah. Did you find a... Oh, you have...
I have. Do we want to do the 6?
You still have the 6 one?
I do. Ready?
Okay. Here it is.
Da-da-da. We need some music for these, but here is our on-theme Star Wars and Enneagram.
Okay. So I love these. So type 6 is the loyalist. And here are 3 excellent examples from the Star Wars world of type 6s. Chewie and R2-D2 and C-3PO.
All 6s.
Yes, they are security focused. They are very loyal. They are all about the good of the community. They're great friends. Depending on whether they're phobic or counterphobic, they may run away from danger or run at it. As you can see, like R2-D2 and C-3PO are kind of opposite. One of them heads in, one of them heads out. And Chewie stays in. Good job, Chewie. Okay, thank you for that.
All right. Oh, we're done with this. Okay.
Okay, we can move our graphic.
Ta-da. All right.
Okay. Ta-da.
I'm navigating.
Sweet. Let's see. Okay. I don't know if we can. I don't know if people can see. All right. Okay, so we're going to try again our 6s. So these are some things about 6s. You might be a 6 if.
You might be a 6 if.
Yes, so if these resonate with you, you might be a lovely 6. So if you are always imagining and planning for the worst, if you are a pro worst case scenario planner, if you often don't trust people who are in authority.
So like the USA might be in a 6 moment right now.
We're in a 6 moment. We definitely are. If people say you are loyal, understanding, funny, and compassionate, very nice traits.
Yes, those are good traits.
If most of your friends don't have as much anxiety as you do, sorry. If you act quickly in a crisis, but when things settle down, you fall apart. If when your partner and you are doing really well in your relationship, you find yourself wondering what will happen to spoil it.
That's the worst. I have a lot of 6 in me.
You do. Yes.
I'm working on that.
Yeah, it's a process.
Janelle,
We're all on a
Janelle,
journey.
somebody's out there. Oh, good.
Oh, yay. Okay.
Yeah, I was a little worried. It's the weirdest thing on this end when it's like we're trying to be all natural and not look like we're stressed out about things not working. But it's stressful when you get on lives and things don't work out.
Yes.
All right, cool. Hey, Janelle. Good to see you.
If you're, let's see, if being sure you've made the right decision is almost impossible. If you always second guess yourself.
Dang.
If you don't like to find yourself in unpredictable situations, don't surprise me.
Who does, really?
7s?
7s do?
Yes.
That's true.
If you find it hard to stop thinking about the things you're worried about. If you're generally not comfortable with extremes. If you usually have so much to do, it's hard for you to finish your tasks.
Yes. Janelle said she's working. It's just a mellow night.
Just a mellow night, yeah.
Well,
mellow's fine.
We're glad to join you at work.
I think she means like the stream is working, not that she's working.
Oh, I thought you were working.
Well, I hope you're not working, Janelle.
I hope you're working
on a
Janelle.
Sunday
Get
night.
back to work. It is a mellow night.
Get to work.
It's between the holidays, so we expected everybody to be.
Yes.
All right, carry
catch
on.
Up later. Okay. If you're most comfortable when you're around people who are pretty much like you. If people tell you you can be overly pessimistic, but you don't think so, you think you're just a realist.
I've caught myself saying it. Are you sure I'm well, yeah.
You got a little 6.
I have some 6 in me.
Yeah. If you're slow to start, but once you do get started, you find yourself continuing to think about what could go wrong.
Or
what could go wrong. If you don't trust people who give you too many compliments. What is their ulterior motive?
That's funny.
Mhm. A little suspicious.
Yep.
Yep. If it helps you to have things in some kind of order, I think that should help most people.
I think it should. We're going to talk about that later.
If you like to be told you're good at your job, but get nervous when your boss wants to add any additional responsibilities,
You can do it.
but you can do it. If you have to know people for a long time before you think you can trust them, or if you're skeptical of things that are new and unknown. So if you have a lot of those things, you might be a 6, or if they ring a bell for you for somebody you know, they may be a 6.
6s are very skeptical of me usually.
As well as everyone else. That's another
Cautious.
name for them is the skeptic.
The skeptic. They're like, I don't know about this guy. What's he talking about?
Yes, so it does take a while to build trust with a 6, but once you have it, and they are so loyal. That's why they call them
The
a
loyalist.
loyalist.
Oh, yes. And there we have it. I got it right.
Oh, look at you.
I was guessing on that. I'm like, it's the loyalist, right?
Bravo.
Because they call them something else, don't they?
The skeptic.
The skeptic.
Sometimes they
yes.
call them the devil's advocate. I try not to call people the devil's
Devil's
anything,
advocate.
but that's another name for them.
Devil's washcloth.
The devil's what?
Where
I
that came
don't even
from.
understand that.
All right, go for it.
Okay.
I'm looking at 2 different comment sections. Hey, Jeannie. How's it going?
Hey.
All right.
Okay.
Carry on.
Let's see. So the 6's core fear is fear. It's fear itself. And they wrestle with it.
The end is fear.
Yes.
That's very neat.
Yes. And so 5, 6, and 7 are actually all in the fear center of the Enneagram, the fear triad, but it's most obvious in the 6.
Does that mean the fear triad?
Yeah, so those 3 types are really dealing with it. So 5s deal with it by trying to master it with their mind. So just figuring out all the contingencies and just learning about everything. 6s plan for it. That's the worst case scenario planning.
So
And 7s
doomsday
distract
preppers.
themselves from it with fun. But we'll get to 7s next. So we can talk a little bit about the 2 different wings you could have as a 6. So your wing would be either number on either side of your number. So people can have one or the other. Some people have both. Sometimes you can move through them in different seasons of your life and lean into one or the other. Or some people really don't have either one and just are really in their own number. But that can nuance it a little bit.
Variance.
A little variance. Yeah. So a 6 with a 5 wing is called the defender. And in general, they would be a little bit more withdrawn, more like a 5, more cerebral, more in the brain, more perceptive, also more organized, which could be beneficial. Can tend to be even a little more suspicious.
So the 6 with a 5 is more suspicious.
Is more suspicious. Yes. They are a great voice for the underdogs and will go to great lengths to defend them. Hence the defender. Yeah.
So 6 with a 5 wing. Right.
Yes.
They'd be hard to change their mind, I assume.
I think that would be a
5s like to
hard
be the
mind
expert.
to change.
And 6s are
They're not
skeptical.
They're skeptical and slow to change.
So you'd have to come to that type with a very strong argument and some evidence.
And you'd have to give them time to
process it.
To process it, yes. So
believe what I'm saying right now.
That won't work. So with the 7 wing, it's called the buddy. So a 6 with a 7 is more outgoing, engaging, supportive, witty, friendly, likable, a little bit more community focused. Although all 6s are community focused.
So they'd be a good sidekick.
Yeah, that's why I call him the buddy.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yes.
Just catching that now.
Yeah.
Yes, the buddy.
So some famous 6s, Tom Hanks, Joe Biden, Ellen DeGeneres, Lady Diana, David Letterman. Yeah, so apparently talk show hosts.
Talk show hosts. Politicians.
And some politicians and royalty.
I guess the politician. This would be a 6 would be a good temperament for
it's a good temperament because they are so concerned about the good of the whole. And actually, I think it is kind of what our community needs right now is someone that is concerned for the greater good. We need that.
We could all use that part of the 6.
Yes.
No political statements being made.
Nope, just an Enneagram observation.
I'm just going to heart everyone right now because I just want to see comments pop up.
Hearts.
Hey.
So there's, we all move kind of to another number when we're in stress and to a different number when we're feeling more secure. So for 6s, when they are feeling stressed, they go to the unhealthy side of 3. So in stress, the 6 will become a little bit more workaholic-y. They will become more image focused. They'll be more competitive. So you could recognize those traits, which are not typical 6 behaviors when they're stressed. Then when they're growing or they're feeling secure, they move to the healthy side of 9. So they kind of calm down, their fears relax. They can become more peaceful. And they can also see more than one side of an issue because 6s do tend to kind of dig in. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So that's where they kind of go in stress.
We could all use that.
And growth.
9 trait, seeing all sides of the issue.
Yeah, come on, be like 9, everybody.
Melanie's 9. It is very helpful.
That is a good trait for sure. So here's some things that we can remember when we are in relationship with a 6. So remember to communicate clearly. They do like just clear, honest communication. Reinforce that you are committed to them. So just remind them that you're not going anywhere. They can trust you. You're for them.
You can trust me.
Don't be creepy though.
I always
No
get
one
a
likes
gasp when I'm
creepy.
speaking in front of a large audience at a church and I tell them not to look up the scriptures that I'm talking about. Just trust me. I say it every time just to be funny, and every time I get a gasp.
JK.
I'm kidding.
Yes. So listen patiently, recognizing that they'll be probably coming from a more pessimistic way. Don't try to talk them out of their point of view. Just listen and be empathetic.
Thinking of all the ways I can torment 6s.
No, don't.
do
That's
that.
how to misuse the
Don't use
Enneagram.
your powers
Don't
for evil.
use it for evil. No, bad. Okay. So if you are in conflict with a 6, so give them the opportunity to discuss the conflict now or a different time. If it's not good for them or they need time to emotionally prepare for it, things will just go better. Remember, 6s don't like to have things sprung on them. They don't like to be surprised. So if you can give them the option to talk now or later, if that's better for them, then that'll help.
Hey, Rachel.
Hey, Rachel.
So give them options. Don't
Yeah.
pin them in a corner and demand like they process whatever's on your mind with you.
And remember that they are in the head triad, so they're going to need time to process. So, and 6s process things very uniquely in all the Enneagram. They have what's called an inner committee, where internally they're running things by this group of voices in their head. It could be people they actually know. It probably is. It could be parents. It could be our dog is here and demanding attention. He's having a 6 moment right now. He needs some reassurance. Anyway, so the inner committee every decision is getting run past this inner committee. So it can make them feel scattered sometimes, or like it's hard to make a decision because they have to run it by all these people, what they would think to come to a conclusion. So recognizing that's happening inside 6s can help us have compassion for them, because it is a process. They're
listening to their inner voices when you're talking to them.
Right. Yes. So that is
There's a name
unique.
For that. No, I'm just kidding.
So this is not a psychosis. This is just.
I was thinking more of a possession, but. No.
It's just
kidding.
Just how they work.
It's not called Legion. I'm not sure.
No. Okay. So if you're a 6 parent or have a 6 parent, this is how that might look. So type 6 parents are loving, nurturing, and have a strong sense of duty and loyalty, as you might suppose. They could be reluctant to give their kids too much independence because of their anxieties for them. They just want their kids to be safe. Who doesn't? But they especially do. And they might have a constant undertone of worry that something's going to go wrong, or they're going to get hurt or sick. So beware.
It's a good thing I do not have 6 parents.
Nope, I don't think so.
That might help me.
It might have helped you. Okay, so let's look at a couple.
So a 6 parents child is well taken care of, is what you're saying.
Yes, they'll be protected, that's for sure. So,
let me move this out of the way.
Yes. So a couple different things that a 6 could do. So I like to give a couple little just activities or things to think about for each type to be as healthy as they can be. So one thing is working on that inner committee. So this might take some time, or maybe you already know if you're a 6, but if you can identify like who are the members of your committee and think about why their opinions have so much weight, and maybe give some of them a sabbatical. So maybe you can shrink down the size of your inner committee, and maybe you can remind yourself that you are even more capable than every member of your committee to make good decisions. You can trust yourself.
That's interesting, because I think it was the Spirit that led me to ask myself, who am I worried about impressing or offending, or whose opinion am I worried about right now when I do stuff? And that's been pretty powerful, because usually if I'm like, I'm scared to do something, I can like, or I'm cautious about something that I want to do, I'm like, who is the person that I'm actually thinking of that I am worried about rejecting me as a fool?
Yeah.
But it's kind of the same thing, right? So those would kind of be ghosts of the past, you think?
Sure.
Other people's voices?
Yeah, it could be someone that's not even in your life currently, but like, what would they say? I think there was a question. Did Rachel have a question? Rachel
has a question. How does the inner committee compare to and contrast to the inner critic?
Yeah, I think that is a good question. So the type 1 has a very loud inner critic that is in general harsh and pretty judgmental and critical. That's why they call it that. Where the inner committee may not be so critical or judgmental, is probably overall not going to be as harsh as that inner critic, but it may be all over the place. That's what makes decision making hard for 6s. So there could be like an inner committee of 6 people with 6 really different opinions. So the 6s feel stuck, and that helps explain why they tend to wrestle more with anxiety, because they're getting all these internal different directions going on. So that's the main difference.
I do not have that 6 trait.
I don't either, and I'm glad.
I just have 2
that sounds
people.
Exhausting.
The person that wants to take a nap, and the other one wants to
go sleep.
Yeah.
Go sleep.
Quit being a wuss.
My sleep
I'm
one's so much
tired.
louder. It's a common to experience both. I don't know, Rachel. I haven't really heard that.
Rachel Harris, are you 1?
She's a 1, or at least that's what we determined as we worked through it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That could be part of what I deal with, is maybe my inner committee is ghosts of the past, like people that were critical or whatever. And I'm trying to, like, their voice pops up when, as a critic, maybe when I'm trying to do stuff. And so maybe that could be like the one having an inner critic could also hear other critical voices.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we could all have that. All have voices from the past in our head, especially someone that had a big influence on us.
Rachel's a 1 with a lot of 5 stuff. We should give the 5 back their stuff. Shouldn't take people's stuff. I'm just kidding.
Especially 5s. They don't like you to take their stuff.
Yeah, 5s don't like you to take their stuff. That was lame.
Okay, let's see. So I think we pretty much did our recap of
of 6. Sorry, last week we figured out the problem last week. I think I said something about that earlier, but
I think so. I don't know if that got
got cut out. Yeah, last week our theme song, now Facebook won't let us use that song on our intro, and so it deemed us pirates and then blocked our video. So it's tough being a pirate.
Right. Okay. So we'll move right into type 7.
Type 7,
which is everybody's favorite type, except for 4, of course. Best type ever, but 7s
that's right.
7s are really fun.
Here's our 7.
Wait.
Oh, was it too early for that?
No, it's just that I can't, because you turned I can't get to the side and see it.
Oh.
Okay. So look how there's Han there.
On theme again,
yes,
Star Wars.
So 7s are adventurous And high energy, they're flexible, they're spontaneous, they're extroverted. They experience a lot of FOMO, fear of missing out.
I had that.
Yes. So Han is a good example. Okay.
And he flies a rad Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, they probably like being pilots.
7's like tasers. Oops.
Okay, so here's some things. If these resonate with you, you may be a 7.
You may be a 7 if.
Okay, if
We have 7s out there. What's Janelle? Janelle is a...
It's one night, I think.
Janelle's
apparently.
a 1 as well?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh,
but if your dad's watching,
Oh,
see if these resonate. Her
Yes, I think my dad might be a 7.
could be a 7. So if you're always the first person up for a last minute adventure, if you're an optimist to a fault, if you don't like making hard and fast commitments to things, if you suffer from FOMO, like we talked about, fear of missing out, like something else is better over there, I might miss it.
That's me.
You have some. If you think that anticipation is the best part of life. If people close to you say you can be argumentative and act superior.
What are you looking
Who
at me
would
for?
say that? Nobody would say that. If you think variety and spontaneity are the spice of life. If sometimes you get so eager for the future that you can hardly wait for it to get here. Like my little niece who is 9, I think that she's probably 7, and she gets like so excited for things like she's like gonna lose her mind, like waiting to open the presents.
Oh yeah.
She could hardly stand it. Or her sisters were fine, but it's hard to wait.
She was waiting on Melanie to finish dinner so she could open presents.
I'm such a slow eater. She was
came
dying.
up and said, "May I take your plate?"
No, I'm still eating. Anyway, so it's hard for 7s to wait.
That was pretty funny.
It's so cute and torturing her sweet little impatient 7 heart. Anyway, if it's hard for you to finish things, when you get close to the end of a project, you start thinking about the next thing, and then you get so excited so that sometimes you just move on because you're too bored sticking with the thing that you were almost done with. If you usually avoid heavy conversations and confrontations.
Stay away from 4s.
It's a tough combination. When people you care about are having a hard time, I help them look at the bright side of a situation. If other people think you are sure of yourself, but you have your doubts. If you're popular and have a lot of friends.
So
popular. If when things get too serious for too long, you usually find a way to get people to lighten up, often by telling jokes or funny stories, or stories about when your dad lived in a stump.
My grandfather.
I know, but
it was my dad.
If your dad told the story.
I have a 7 friend. She always tickles you, like, which I hate. Passion. She come up and like grab you and tickle you to lighten things up. I'm like,
there will be no somberness in my presence.
My trigger reaction is to punch somebody.
Don't punch.
So far, I have failed to
punch her. Don't punch her.
I mean, not failed. I just have refrained.
You succeeded in refraining from punching her.
I will not punch somebody who tickles me.
Good.
But
no
I want
punching.
to.
Okay. If you don't like endings, so you usually wait for people to break up with you. If you quickly get bored with the same routine and like to try new things. If almost everything can be more fun and entertaining with a little efforts. If you think people should, or if you think people worry more than they should. So if you're looking at your 6th friend and saying, what in the world? If you think life is better than people imagine, it's all about how you explain things to yourself. And if you don't like it when people have expectations of you, you don't like to be pinned down by expectations or anything else.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I have a friend, she had a 7 friend. She's like, I'm going to join CrossFit. She was just having a 7 moment. And so I pinned her down to it. And that was not.
Oh, don't hold me down.
She didn't show up. She kept telling me she was because it sounded exciting. Until she thought about it. And then she had to get up early.
Boo.
And that was not fun. So.
Yes, 7s, we love you.
That was pretty funny though.
Okay, so 7's core fear is being trapped in pain or deprived.
Ooh.
Poor 7.
Who likes that though?
No one likes that, but they like it the least. And their core weakness is gluttony,
Mhm.
and not necessarily in the sense of just eating food, although they might like to eat all the food, but it's in just experiencing as much of as possible of everything, of sucking all the marrow out of life.
Sucking the marrow out of life. That's very graphic.
It's gross, especially from a
Life's
vegetarian.
bones. Rachel, haha, realizing how strong that 7 aspect of my 1 has become. That's good.
Yeah, 7s and 1s share a line. So 7s go to 1 in stress, and 1s go to 7 in security. So if you're feeling 7ish, Rachel, it means you're probably doing good.
Evolving as a human.
So yay. Okay, so our 2 wings. So a 7 could have a 6 wing or an 8 wing. So with a 6 wing, one word for that is the entertainer. So they would tend to be more outgoing, creative, silly, and playful. And they would care more what other people think than with an 8 wing. They would also tend to be more scattered, really good friend, faithful, probably a more loyal friend than without that 6 wing. The loyalty like helps them commit to things even when they get bored. That might stick around a little better. Then with an 8 wing, that's called the realist. So that type would tend to be more assertive, confident, ambitious, persistent, tenacious. So in that case, it would be that 8 persistence that would help them follow through with stuff, where the 7 would tend to get bored and move on. But the 8 wing would help them stick with it longer. Well, without the wings, like the 6 wing, they might move on, but with a 6 wing, they'd be less likely to move on from people. Like it'd be the loyalty of the friendship or the relationship that would keep them there even longer than their attention span warranted, so to speak.
I see.
Yeah, so those are the 2 wings. Then in stress, like we just mentioned briefly, type 7 moves to the low side of 1. So they can get more critical, judgmental, more perfectionistic, can get harder on themselves and harder on others, which is not very 7-y. So when you see your 7 acting that way.
So can you explain when we say that a number moves to a number in stress? Some people often think that means that number is bad.
No, it's not bad. So just in general, in stress, you move to the negative traits of that number, of the stress number.
So it doesn't mean that number is a negative number.
Not at all.
It means their negative behavior becomes your negative behavior.
Right. Yeah. Every number has positive and negative behaviors. And you will also exhibit your own negative behaviors, but then you might also slide into the negative behaviors of your stress number. So in stress, a 7's already going to be flakier. They're going to be more scattered, less organized, could be tend towards excess, could be prone to addiction or behaviors of drinking too much and that kind of thing to keep themselves from experiencing any pain. So that is 7's MO, is to not feel pain.
Yeah, I should clarify that.
Yes, so that's good clarification. Yes.
There is no superior number.
Nope. Every number is wonderful and has challenges. And 4, of course, is the best.
Maybe 9. I'm not sure.
9 is fine.
Some excel in certain situations.
It's fine.
For sure, but in general, we need them all.
Yes. Yes, we do. So in insecurity, or when they're growing emotionally, type 7s move towards the healthy side of 5, which helps 7s kind of settle down and be able to focus a little bit more and get some things done. They can get a little bit more clarity in their 5 space. So
5 space.
Their 5 space. Yes.
Deep space 5.
Yeah. Whatever that means. So as we mentioned earlier too, 7s are in the head center and fear. So they wrestle with fear and they overcome that fear by masking it with pleasant experiences and excitement and adrenaline. And they're in the head center. So things are happening in their head first before they hit their emotions or their gut. It's head first.
Rachel is asking, how often would, say, a 1 go to the negative aspects of a 7, or any number go to the unhealthier side of their healthy number?
I don't think that there's any set amount of time. It just depends what's going on in your life and how you personally deal with it. I think some people tend to go towards their stress and health numbers more often than others. It tends to be just an observation when it's a little bit more extreme. So when you're either like really comfortable, how you might act around your family, and when you're really stressed. Like normally the behaviors of your own number are what you'll go to first, but when things just get more extreme, good or bad, then you might expect to see the other behaviors. So like I don't see myself going to 6 very often, but I did, like with my dad's sickness and death, I did see myself go to the low side of 6 in that extreme stress. So it's not an everyday thing for me, and probably not for most people either.
Yeah, but you're 9.
But I also
the low side of the 9.
I also 9'd hard.
So you 9 hard, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes there's just a little bit of overflow.
Yeah, but I mean, it's more common for you to go to the low end of 9 than 6, right?
Right. Yeah, and that would be the normal progression. Like go to the lower side of your own number and then to your stress number. So
it's kind of an extreme, one extreme to the next.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Good question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how do we get along with these 7s? In general, 7s are pretty easy to get along with. So.
Again, for people who are tuning in for Church on Wolf Mountain, we usually do at 7:30. We are running over because we had technical difficulties last week. So the Enneagram section is going to go until 8 or 7:45.
Yeah, I think I can make it.
Or roundabouts.
7:45.
It's an extended Wolf
That's
Mountain
the goal.
tonight.
Yeah, since we had to squish in 2 numbers. So
thanks
for your indulging us.
Mm-hmm. Bonus edition.
Bonus. Okay, so to get along with 7, some tips. You probably want to try to keep it light, because if you try to go too deep or dark right away, they're going to have to go for some reason.
Don't go Edgar Allan Poe and your 7 friends.
Don't go Poe too quickly, or it'll be harder for them, of course.
That's why I like 7s, because I'm kind of melancholic.
They help you.
They bring you up.
They do bring you up. Mm-hmm. Yes, sometimes in spite of yourself. They will tickle you until you have to laugh, and then it's hard to be melancholy when you're being tickled.
That is true.
So they like to be engaged. So be engaging with them. Some of us who aren't 7s can tend to just, in a way, like take advantage of 7s of their energy level. And sometimes we rely too much on that. So if we can do our part too, to try to, some of us it's much harder to bring up the energy level so they don't have to do all the heavy lifting. So I'm speaking to myself. Yeah. So
that can be pressure on a 7 to always be the life of the party.
Right. And sometimes they don't want to be the life of the party, dang it. Mm-hmm. So they shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
And 7s have big dreams and lots of ideas. So listen to them without shooting down their ideas, because they really don't intend to implement all of these ideas. So that's an important thing to learn when you're in relationship with a 7. I've heard multiple stories of people marrying a 7 or working for a 7 and then being like, oh my gosh, like so overwhelmed by this endless stream of ideas. And then like, okay, we have to go this way, no, this way, and this way. When the 7 is they're just brainstorming. They don't really intend for all these grandiose plans to get implemented. They're just like throwing it out there and
seeing what sticks.
So keep in mind that everything doesn't have to stick, and
seeing where the party at.
Yeah, where the party at. So that's important information for the rest of us.
That's good to know.
Yes. Give your 7 lots of space, independence. They really don't like to be confined or trapped or slowed down. So give them freedom to do what they want to do.
That's good to know about 7 though. Just processing ideas, because like one of my friends who's 7 was always telling me what they were going to do or wanted to do, or like, let's do this or let's do that. And I'd be like, eventually I just figured out they were never going to follow through. And I took it as like a annoying character trait. Like it was a fault for them. And so I'd like kind of pin them down with it. like, you're not going to do that. And then they wouldn't. And then it would be like shame. But it's like,
Aw.
I didn't mean to do that. But it was like, if I knew that's just how they processed, then it gives you a little more grace when they're like, let's go snowshoeing. It's like, you don't really want to go snowshoeing.
But they love looking forward. They're very future focused. So they love looking forward to fun things and always want to have a trip planned and something fun to look forward to. That's just how they're wired.
Yeah.
Yes. So they really, like 4s also, really, really hate boring tasks. So if you're in a position where you have to, like if you're their boss and you have to task them or a parent or something boring,
fun. Bring balloons.
Try, to do something creative to bring a little bit more fun to it, and just have some sympathy that they're going to struggle with the more mundane tasks because torture, as you can understand.
I can.
You hate the mundane tasks
Most
a
of
lot
life
too.
is like paper cut. To fold laundry is like the worst.
No.
Mine's always in my laundry basket.
I know, I'm not great at that either.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you should find yourself in conflict with a 7, and it does happen, try to keep it positive. Give them lots of affirmation. They don't love criticism. They want ideas for how to solve it. So give them, an out, a way to fix it. Try to keep the energy positive and anger to a minimum if you can. I know it's not always easy to control that kind of thing, but 7s don't do anger very well, usually.
That's interesting.
Give them space to say what they need to say without them being afraid that they're going to be punished or trapped, because they do fear punishments. And 7s are in the head triad, so they are not always going to know, again, what they feel. So they spend a lot of their life avoiding feeling their feelings. So they distract themselves from their feelings. So they may need some time to process whatever it is in there. They may not actually know. So if you're in like the heart triad, you just need to have that awareness that it's not going to be as readily available for them as you probably.
Good to know.
Yeah. Let's see, and reduce their impulse to leave an uncomfortable situation or uncomfortable conversation by keeping it upbeat and being as positive as you can. Otherwise, they're really gonna have to go.
That's right. Now I know why all my 7 friends leave.
Wait, where'd it go? Okay, so let me go to a couple things that a 7 can do to maximize their emotional health. I'm getting there.
Do we have any 7s out there? I know we have 1s with 7-y tendencies, but any solid 7s? I'm thinking
David might be.
David Michael?
Nope, Dave Fuller.
Oh, Dave Fuller. Yeah, I think Dave Fuller might be 7.
Could be.
All right. Let's
Okay.
wrap this up.
So practice restraint and moderation. Just remind yourself that more is not necessarily better. So in all things, just a moderate amount. You'll be happier in the long run.
So they really need self-control.
Yes. And 7s have a bit of a hard time being present because they're so future focused and always looking forward to the future. So as often as possible, remind yourself to be here now. So enjoy the moment that you're in. 7s often find themselves disappointed when they get to the thing they've looked forward to because the anticipation was much better than the thing. So just remind yourselves to appreciate where you are right now, the beauty in every moment, because now is all we really have.
That's deep.
So deep, I know.
Sounds like a song.
Oh, and I only went 1 minute over, so.
Oh, are you done?
I'm done.
Wow.
Okay,
wow.
that's
Thanks, babe. That was a lot.
That's a bit of 7 for you.
A bit of 7.
A bit of 7 and a bit of 6.
A bit of 6. Yeah. So we crammed those both in.
Thanks for your patience.
Thanks for your patience. Yeah. Like I said, for those who are tuning in, we had technical difficulties last week, so we had to do 6 and 7 this week, cover the bases. And so then we have 8 and
Next
9
week,
left.
8 and then 9.
And then that'll wrap up.
That's it. And then I don't know what we're going to talk about.
What are we going to talk about? We melted it all. All right. Well, thanks, babe.
Yeah, I'll take that if you want.
That's good. So we're going to hand the comments over to Melanie, and then I will start up. We'll take a 30-second break, and we'll start up church.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. And we're back.
Oh, the stereo.
That was good.
So good. Yes.
Welcome to part 2 of Wolf Mountain. This is, keep calling it church on Wolf Mountain. It's kind of church. We'll call it church.
Sure. It can be
Sure,
church.
why not? It's Sunday. This is church.
It is Sunday.
So thank you, babe, for the Enneagram wisdom.
Anytime.
Yes. For those of you just tuning in, hello. So let's see. We did dreams. We did 3 sessions of dreams and scratch the surface. You can watch those on our YouTube channel.
Wolf Mountain.
Wolf Mountain on YouTube. All of these are replayed on there. So you can go back and watch all those. So we're done with that, and that was fun. I wish I could have dove into that deeper, but that's such a huge subject. We almost have to do an entirely different thing on. So it was good though. Would you like to move that over?
Oh, sure.
So you can man
Thanks.
this.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and we can put that up if you like.
Oh yeah, I do. I do like.
So this week, interesting. It's funny that I just like hear the Spirit a lot just by like what I'm doing during the, day to day. Like my life kind of plays out in a way that's like, oh, this is what's happening, and it's for a broader audience, and that's what we're kind of. I mean, I'm going to launch off from that here. And there's a repeat principle that I keep trying to drive home to everybody, and that's that God always wants to take us from glory to glory. It's a principle from the Bible, and a theme that it was Jesus's prayer that we would have the same glory that He has, which is pretty big medicine, and that we're supposed to be we're supposed to emulate Christ. We're supposed to be a reflection of God. It basically says when we look at God, we're looking at a reflection of what we will become. And so if that's God's will for us to take us to a higher place, it's just human nature that we want to evolve as people, and we want to be better, and we want to, get greater revelation and just achieve more and find more peace and, go deeper. And it can be frustrating though, because on our path of wanting to be better, like evolve as a person, find that that peace that we're really looking for, or like move towards God-likeness, we often sometimes seem to get stuck. And and it's just even on basic things, like we want to change this or that in our life, and we would like to move this direction, or we've got this dream, but something keeps seeming to sabotage us. And so, and like I said, like the basic principle is God, that God's working in your life because everything He does for you is moving you up, right? And so if God wants us to move on this upward trajectory of like Christ likeness, like glory to glory, or more God likeness, not that we will become God, but we are become like God because we're made in His image. And there's a principle in the Bible that says that He knew us before the foundations of the world were created. Like everything that was created came after He made a blueprint for us. Like He knew us before all this even was. And so He wrote up an original design for us, and His dream for us was to fulfill that original design. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. So it can be frustrating when we're going through life and we feel like we're just self-sabotaging or not getting where we want to go. Or, I'm just like, I self-examine a lot, I've made myself my own, like, project basically. And I'm always examining my own psychology and why I do stuff. And and get really frustrated with things that I do that sabotage, places I want to go, and like trying to unwind my own life, like why that happens. And it's interesting right now. I mentioned this, I think last week or the week before, is that I've taken up spinning staffs. Like it's kind of like a martial arts skill, and it moves over into other things like spinning swords. That's why I got the lightsaber, because it's very cool looking when you flow those things around. And I did it a little bit when I was younger, just without any lessons, and learned a lot of bad habits, But one of the things it's a challenge for me is to stay present in my body. I'm always like, it's hard to explain, but I'm always like ignoring what my body's going through because my mind's other places. And so I often get injured or like wear myself out because I'm not very present. And one of the things that is very frustrating for me for learning these new skills, like staff spinning, is I have to be very conscious of my body, like what I'm doing. And I find that like as I'm practicing, you've got to do like 1,000 reps of each move, which is very frustrating for me because I just want to move on to the next thing, is that I will tune out and like I can't land something. I can't land it. I can't land it. I can't land it. I keep dropping my staff on the ground. It's because I'm not there. Like I am not like present, and like mindful of what my body's doing. And I have to slow down and then like do exactly what my instructor says. And like if I do it exactly like she taught me, I can do it every time. But I have all these ingrained like subconscious habits that are keeping me, if I'm not mindful of what I'm doing, they take over and I can't do the thing, And it's so much like us trying to go from this place to a higher place, from that glory to glory place, to emulate Christ more. It's like we have all these old behaviors, patterns, habits, routines and mindsets that we're not even conscious of because we've been doing them for so long, or something that somebody taught us, or we inherit it via epigenetics or nature or nurture. It's there, And so it takes some mindfulness to like stop and like, okay, this is where I want to go, or like, why am I so frustrated with my life, or like I'm not in this place where I'm satisfied or happy or at peace, but why can't I seem to change? Why does nothing change? And it's often these subconscious or like autopilot habits that we have that run in the background that self-sabotage us all the time, that we can't get out of doing. I often see this with people who are trying to diet, and they're trying. We're really into fitness, and I've had to work on, I've had to gain a lot of self-control myself over my eating habits for various reasons. But you see a lot of people that they're trying to lose weight, and they'll talk to me about how they're changing their diet and working out. But when I'm hanging out with them, I see them unconsciously grab things that are full of sugar because their body's craving it. They don't even know they're doing it, and they're throwing it in their mouths, and it's like just observing nature. Human nature, I'm like, that's interesting. It's like they don't even know they're doing that, and they wonder why they're not losing the weight, or they're not seeing any gains or whatever. But life is a lot like that. So it takes some mindfulness to like get to this place where you're like, I'm not succeeding. I don't have peace in my life. This part of my life is chaos. I've talked about that. Like the kingdom of heaven is not subject to disorder. So where the principles of heaven, of God, are in your life, those things are in order and they function, and they bear good fruit. And we'll talk about that later. But the things that aren't, they bring disorder. It's kind of a life and death scenario. Like some things bring kind of death and disorder, and some things bring life. So when you finally like decide that you want to like move towards some, more order in your life, and to evolve as a person, and evolve in your Christ likeness, it's this kind of this interesting place you have to come to, where you have to kind of stop in your tracks and become present, and like start being mindful of your own behavior, and even things in your life that used to serve you that don't serve you anymore. Like, are those things I need, and they actually can be hindering you. They were good things at one point, but now they're just kind of dead weight, but it's something you'd always done, so you've identified with it, but it's keeping you from moving forward, you know? And like, I've had to do this myself quite a bit, you know. As we've gotten older in our lives, I've got the remnants of like a lot of past hobbies and a lot of past lives and a lot of past directions I went. And I'm one of these people, I have to be careful what I do because I have a little bit of resources and I'm super creative and I will manifest things really fast, that I don't just get involved in something that's interesting and I'll pull all this stuff to me, and all of a sudden I have all this stuff I've got to maintain, but it's really not serving me because I was just trying it out. But then I feel like I've got to feed it, and so it's taking some of my energy over here when I want to go this way, but I can't because I'm dragging that thing with me. You understand what I'm saying? And so there's a really kind of a underlying theme that we see Jesus talk about. It's about knowing a tree by its fruit. And it's really about like what we are cultivating. Like, what are we spending our time cultivating in our lives? It could be relationships, it could be habits, it could be hobbies, it could be a pattern, it could be a mindset, and it's things that we're cultivating like a fruit tree. We're feeding it, we're fertilizing it, we're digging around it, we're watering it, we're pruning it. But we have to ask ourselves, like, which of these things that I'm cultivating aren't actually bearing fruit anymore? And I think this is a real season of like cutting off dead branches and digging up trees, and metaphorical, and cutting out the thorns that are choking out our life, things that aren't serving us anymore, but they're things we continue to cultivate. And it's interesting that the Bible calls the worries of life thorns, like things that come up and choke us. You know, there are things that are there in our life that are just not good, but they're just choking us out, you know, because they're taking up our resources. And the other side of that are things that we wanted there, that we planted, that we keep feeding, but it's just not producing any fruit for us anymore. And it's funny that the parable of fruit is, it's just one of the principles of nature that are principles of the kingdom of heaven. It's like things that we cultivate in our lives produce stuff for not only for us, but for other people, for our community, for the loved ones around us. And it's like, what are we feeding them? You know, are we feeding them anything? Are we feeding ourselves anything with this? And it's really hard to look at those things and be like, what do I have in my life that's not serving me anymore? What it's just dead, that's taking resources. And we can take this principle and examine what we're cultivating in our life and start, like, when we get in that mindful place of like, okay, I'm right here, this isn't where I want to be, like there's some disorder, I'm depressed, I'm not happy, whatever it is, I'd like to lose weight, I'd want to learn this, but I'm not, I'd like to go over here and have this career, I don't want to live in this area, you know, like it, to like snap out of those holding patterns, we have to stop and get in that mindful place. And then we can start looking around our lives and be like, what is it that's not bearing fruit, you know, or what's the thorn, you know? And so it can be like your schedule, your friends, your habits, your behaviors, your beliefs, etc. And I had to do this with so many things lately. I had this like for example, I had this like really cool muscle car I'd built it for a film, but the film didn't end up getting shot. And I ended up investing way more into this car than I wanted to, just because it started looking cool. And then it sat around for 3 years in my friend's shop. And when I finally got it out, I had this really rad, you know, muscle car. It's a 68 Firebird that I really wanted to drive all the time, but it wasn't very reliable. And it just didn't work in the city I live in, because I had to, like, you know, if I was going somewhere, I had to make sure that I had time to break down. You know what I mean? But I didn't have time to be the kind of mechanic I needed to be to, like, you know, repair this car all the time. And it was just one of those things like, I'm gonna, you know, use this car to learn to become a better mechanic, and I'm gonna drive it more, and it's super cool, and I like the way it looks, and I like the image it has and everything around it. But it's like I had to take this like look at it and be like, is this thing producing any fruit in my life? You know, it's like, it's not really. It makes, I worry about it. It's taking resources. I have to pay for insurance. I'm not driving, and it's taking up garage space. And it's super cool. It's a good thing. Like, people coveted this car. They're like, I need that car. That's the raddest car I've ever seen, you know? And it was super cool looking. And it was really hard for me to get rid of. And I'm like, I sold it, you know? It's like, I need to sell this. But it ended up just like freeing the space off, this weight off my shoulders, so that even though I had this super cool thing, that it just wasn't bearing any fruit in my life, you know? And once it was gone, I was like, yeah, I missed it. It was cool, but it was just better that it was gone, and I could move on and evolve and change and go forward, you know? And I think there's a lot of things in our life that are like that. So there's an interesting prophet in the Bible. His name's Ezekiel, and he did a lot of physical acts that were prophecies. Like, he himself would act out things God told him to do, and by acting out those things, they were actually prophesying into the city he was in, or his own life. And I think those kind of things are very powerful. And one of the things that I like to do, because I myself am kind of a physical prophet, like, I find myself doing things that God is saying. Like, I'll go out periodically and I'll find myself really compelled to like cut down tree limbs and burn them in brush piles. Like, I almost can't help myself. And it's always seems to be around a conjunction where I need to like move something out of my life that's not producing fruit. It's like, I need to like take stock and like start cutting off dead branches so the healthy ones can grow. And these are all, you know, metaphorically, but I almost always have to do a physical act to do this stuff, you know? And so I don't know where I got this, but there's this practice. I think it's the Yule. It came from the Yule log tradition of writing down all the things you want to let go of, and then, you know, lighting this Yule fire, and then like throwing them in the fire and like releasing them, and then inviting in the stuff in the new season, actually writing down a mission statement for yourself, what you want to see manifested in your life. And so I actually did that this year. I actually do it on accident a lot of times because I'm compelled to do these things. But this year I was very intentional about it. Took a piece of paper, I wrote down all the things that were choking me out. I wrote down all the things in my life that aren't bearing fruit, and the things that I don't want to see manifest in my life anymore. And then I made a little bonfire outside, and I just threw them in there and released them, you know. And those kind of things are actually very powerful. Like, naming things is powerful. It says in the Bible, we're actually protected by God's name, you know. And so naming things are very powerful. And then just letting them go for the next season, you know. But that's like the first step. It's like, once you do that, you have to actually do something to change. You have to change your patterns and change your behavior, you know. And so, kind of like going back to the staff spinning thing, I have to do like 1,000 repetitions of each move before it becomes ingrained in my head, to my body mechanics just do it naturally, you know. And I think what is it when you form a new habit by doing it 30 days in a row before it becomes like, you have to practice something like 30 times before it becomes a habit or something like that.
I thought it was 21 days.
Is it 21 days?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Let's ask Carolyn Leaf.
But it's kind of the same thing with like starting new habits in your life. You know, you have to like keep at it and do it by repetition until it becomes just part of what you do. Like, when I learned to integrate meditation into my life out of necessity.
Rachel says 21.
21. You know, it took me about 30 days of doing it, forcing myself to do it before I got up and I'm like, I have to do this. I want to do this. I'd rather do this before I do anything else in the morning, you know. And it's just like running for me. It's like, I run when I'm training for an event, but I don't like it. But once I start doing it, about 10, 15, 20 days in, it starts feeling good, and it just becomes routine, and I just can't not get up and run, you know. But that's an interesting place when you kind of live in this world that it kind of manifested around your habits and your behaviors, and even the friends you have kind of will keep you on a track, right? And so I always say it's the hardest thing for people that want to change is that, especially when they're trying to like leave behind old character, bad character traits or old behaviors, and they're trying to improve their life or like change or be better, is like usually their friends will remind them of how much they sucked in the past and keep them beat down. Like, that's not what you do. This is what you do. And when they start doing something different, it makes the people around them uncomfortable. The environment around them that was like manifested around their old behaviors gets like, it gets upset, and it wants to force them back into that track. And so it's kind of like me learning new habits. Like, I just tried hand rolls all day long today, hundreds and hundreds of hand rolls until my wrists hurt. But it's funny that when I did them exactly the way I'm supposed to, I could do it every time. I'm like, I got this routine down where I could do this back hand roll flip thing, and I come out and I'm like, oh, I want to show Melanie that I can do this. I'm so proud of myself. I can do it every time. But as soon as there's a person in front of me,
I messed him up.
All of a sudden I can't do it because I'm worried about that person's opinion or like performing right. It was the same thing. I used to do freestyle BMX and skating. We called it the curse of the camera, or the watch this curse. Like, we could land a trick like 100 times, and as soon as we wanted to show somebody, we'd crash because something about us worrying about what that person thinks interrupted our performance and made us not be able to achieve, right? I think it's the same way when we're trying to form new habits or like change who we are. We have to get over like people trying to force us back into the same track that we were in. And it's really interesting. I was thinking about this earlier today. It's like, it says that God knew us before the creation of the world. The foundations of the world were formed. There's evidence in the Bible, several places, where it says that God knew us before all this was here. Is that he had like a perfect dream for us, a perfect blueprint. And I can tell you that it looks different than what you are now. Because a lot of what we do, what we think, how we dress, what we act like, what we go after through, day to day, what motivates us is other people's opinions of us, because we don't want to be rejected, societal norms, things that were nurtured into us, expectations, our fear of men keep us performing a certain way and acting a certain way and doing certain things. But once you start stepping into that blueprint, you're going to act different. And so you're going to have to be okay with being different, like evolving as a person, and like, what will I actually be if I just let myself be who I am, and like put down these things that don't bear fruit in my life, burn them in the fire, metaphorically speaking, and like start practicing the habits that help me move into that blueprint that God designed for me. And it's an interesting process, because you'll find like, maybe you looked like this last season, maybe you did this, but you're actually curious about this, but you stay back here because it's what you do and what people know you to do, right? Or your friends don't like it. Say you really like country music, but all your friends are into techno. I don't know. But you're like, I'd really like to go to a country concert, but my friends will all make fun of me. It'd be the quite opposite for me. But, it was like.
You would be the friend making fun
right,
of the country. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'd really like to try that. Like, what if that makes me happy? It's what I'm curious about. But this is my habit. This is my world. It's really hard to break out of that. But sometimes that's exactly what we need to do, to find our track in life and our peace and our like glory to glory moments, And so, yeah, get over it. The fear of man makes me drop my stick. You know what I mean? When I'm trying my moves, it's like sometimes the fear of man keeps us from moving on, examining our lives, getting rid of the things that don't produce fruit, and going from glory to glory. And so that's all I had today. That's what I've been thinking about. It's really self-examining, like my own unconscious behavior. For me, it's like my physical behavior, that keeps me from doing something perfect that I want to do, even though I know how to do it. But like my ingrained repetitive behavior throughout my life makes it difficult, even though I know what to do. But the repetition of doing the new thing over and over and over again eventually forms a new habit, and it becomes part of who you are. And so I hope I articulated that well. That's what I have for you tonight. So I encourage you guys to all go get in a mindful place and spin a staff, look at the fruit in your life, and start pulling things up. and burn things that don't serve you anymore. And that's all I have for this evening. So I just bless you guys with that, with this ability to self-reflect and to get in a mindful place where you can hear the voice of the Spirit and let go of those things that aren't serving you anymore, so you actually can move into that blueprint that God's created for you, that is more of who you actually truly are. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with us late. Thanks, Mel, for doing the Enneagram.
Thank you.
And we should see you next week for Enneagram 8.
8, the big one.
Yeah. So bless you guys. Have a good night. Thanks for tuning in.
Have a good week and enjoy the rest of this year.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.